Thank you very much, David, and welcome everyone to this webinar. I am often asked, as CTO of ELIXIR, what the technical team does, and I'm going to have great pleasure telling you today in some detail all of our responsibilities, all of the activities that we participate, and the way we're currently organized in order to get all of that work done. I am Peter MacCallum, as David has said. I've been the Chief Technical Officer with ELIXIR for just under 2 years, and I'm based at the ELIXIR Hub in Hinxton, UK, in Cambridgeshire. So I'm going to spend most of today talking about the technical team at quite a high level and talking about how it's organized. Our intention is to have a series of webinars through the year where the individual parts of the technical team will dive much deeper into the individual components and the individual subgroups within ELIXIR and its technical activities. But first of all, before I can do any of that, of course, I can't assume that you all know the structure of ELIXIR inside and out and how the tech team fits into the rest of the organization. So I'll start by giving most of you a refresher, some of you an introduction to ELIXIR and how it is structured. First of all, who are we? We are ELIXIR, the European Intergovernmental Organization, and we're an intergovernmental organization that brings together life science resources. And these resources include databases, software, training material, interoperability resources, compute resources, and data management support. Our overall goal is to coordinate bioinformatics resources across Europe so that they form a single infrastructure, so that our bioinformatics users across Europe get a consistent single experience when they come to do their work. Why do we need a European infrastructure? We've got many member states with significant capabilities in bioinformatics. Bioinformaticians can find these things themselves using the internet. Well, there are a couple of problems. First of all, sustaining the rapid growth of data in the life sciences has become beyond something that a single country can do. Long ago, it became something larger than a single European state could do. And we're now well past the point where even America would regard it as something that can be dealt with on a national level. So the sustainability of life science data requires an international approach. We depend on national funding, but in addition to sustainable national funding, we need coordination to make sure that that national funding is being used to its best purpose. We want to make sure that bioinformatics resources that people depend on in other countries are stable. We want to make sure that investment in one country isn't duplicating effort in another. So ELIXIR was created to provide the coordination for the national life science data infrastructures and to connect them into a single pan-European infrastructure. And these national data infrastructures form the foundation of ELIXIR, and we'll show you how that works. So here's who we are. We're an organization together trying to accelerate the understanding of life, and we're composed of parts at different levels. So we have one hub based in Hinxton. Our job is to coordinate activities across the other parts of the organization. But then we have 23 member states who are currently signatories to that intergovernmental organization. And those member states form our ELIXIR Nodes, and they're the place where most of the work is done, where most of the services are provided. Those member states themselves, of course, some of them are quite large, and most of them are multi-part organizations nationally. So in total across Europe, ELIXIR currently represents around 245 separate research institutes working on different aspects of life science research. And what sort of things do we do? So we build life science informatics capacity, we build life science informatics infrastructure in Europe. We connect together networks and we provide high quality services and resources and make them available to everyone. And we'll go through the details of this as we go through the structures of the technical team, but that includes databases, software, training, data standards, compute resources, and scientific expertise. The underpinning of all of this is our services. We run different types of services. Our nodes provide compute services, making it easier to store, share, and analyze large data sets. Many of our nodes are providing data resources. So these are foundational to ELIXIR, and ELIXIR are putting these data sources together to drive the use, reuse, and preserve the value of data. We also have services to allow the other services to interact with each other. So these interoperability services allow us to link data together through community standards. The data on its own is no use without software. So we have tools, and ELIXIR alone represents 282 separate software tools. We don't just provide the individual bioinformatics tools, but also approaches to benchmarking, registries for software, and ways of connecting software to data services. And then finally, across Europe, all of our researchers need to know how to use these systems. So without training, none of them would be usable. And we represent training organizations across the ELIXIR nodes as well. So the services tend to be provided by the nodes. ELIXIR runs a program of activities that allow us to link together these individual node activities. And our mechanism for doing that is a funding model that we call commission services. Commission services can mean two things. We will sometimes pay for a specific service that's necessary for the operation of the network overall. And sometimes we'll pay for an implementation change to an existing service or set of services. So these so-called implementation studies to develop new capabilities within or between the services. So far, we've funded over 120 projects through this mechanism. We've spent more than 26 million euros building the current infrastructure. The improved collaboration between the ELIXIR nodes, you can see in the diagram there. The links on the graph here are the implementation studies, and the nodes are on the ring on the outside. And you can see our implementation studies have largely been multi-node activities that have brought together the different parts of ELIXIR. We're focused on connecting, integrating, sustaining the life science data resources, and developing and improving those services used by life sciences globally. And the way we do this from a technical point of view is through a set of organizational structures, which I'm going to talk you through for the rest of this talk. We have the ELIXIR Platforms, which are the way we put together the different technology strands in the infrastructure. We have the ELIXIR Communities, which are the way we link the technology to the specific science domains where they're being applied. We have focus groups, which are informal groups looking at new areas and new development to make sure our strategy is always searching the horizon appropriately. And we have the coordinators. So I'm going to talk about the technical team today, but I can't do that without also talking about the equivalent staff in the nodes who are responsible for much of the work that gets delivered. So now we get to the point where I can start to describe the technical team. That's what ELIXIR is trying to achieve, and this is the mechanism that we use to deliver that. So the technical team is based in this rather nice building on the Wellcome Trust Genome Campus in South Cambridgeshire. And we share our office space with the rest of the hub secretariat for ELIXIR. So there are a number of other divisions, of course, the operations, external relations, legal services, and the project management office of ELIXIR are co-located with us. There are around 40 staff in total. We don't fill this whole building, we share it with the EBI. And we have an annual operating budget of around 8 million euros a year. We don't spend that all ourselves. Most of that is spent out in the nodes on the services through the commission service process that I talked about. And here is the technical team itself. So the Hub technical team oversee the operation and development of ELIXIR services, and we act as an interface between the nodes and ELIXIR's international activities, and we coordinate the internode technical coordination and cooperation. So we're co-located with EMBL EBI, who are one of the ELIXIR nodes, but we don't run ELIXIR services ourselves. The team is led by me, the Chief Technical Officer, and I'll take you through the rest of the team and their role. First, I'll talk about our program managers. So the major areas of technical and scientific strategy at ELIXIR within the tech team and within other parts of the organization are overseen by program managers. So program managers are responsible for the development of technical roadmaps. They take leadership roles in our project activities, and they guide the platform and community leadership teams and help to shape the overall strategy of the different parts of ELIXIR. So the technical team currently has 3 program managers: Jonathan Tedds, our program manager for scientific computing; Katharina Heil, our program manager for communities and training; and Fabio Liberanti, our program manager for data and interoperability. It is possible to have too many managers in an organization, and we're no different. We, in addition to our program managers, we have our science and technical officers. Science and technical officers fulfill a crucial function. They're responsible for the direct support to the platform's communities day to day. They also participate in projects as experts and as contributors to our project deliverables. They run the operational processes of the platforms and the communities and make sure that our organizational structures are kept intact. They manage data that comes from our nodes and services to the hub and on to the board and other organizations. And with their expertise, we use them in a variety of different technical outreach activities and our interaction with other organizations worldwide. The technical team currently has 4 science and technical officers: David Lloyd, Gavin Farrell, Claire Garrard, and Manthos Patoulias. We're not the only technical staff within the ELIXIR. We also have technical teams in the ELIXIR nodes as well. So first of all, we have the ELIXIR Technical Coordinators Group, which is composed of technical representatives in each of the ELIXIR nodes. So as you can see there, 23 ELIXIR nodes, we have 23 ELIXIR Technical Coordinators. And apologies to the technical coordinators that I didn't have 23 photographs of them. The technical coordinators are the overall contact for the node services and the node technical oversight. So when ELIXIR wants to interact with the nodes about their technical matters, that's who we talk to. But we also rely on the technical coordinators for guidance on our technical strategy and our service governance processes. The technical coordinators meet regularly, and I chair that meeting, and David supports me in looking after them. We also have a Europe-wide network of training coordinators. The ELIXIR training coordinators include 1 representative from each of the ELIXIR nodes. The training coordinators meet regularly to share information, expertise, and to coordinate the training strategy of ELIXIR across Europe. We'll talk in a moment about the ELIXIR Training Platform, and the training coordinators work very closely with the training platform to deliver a coordinated service. It's a very powerful organization, allows us to give European researchers access to a huge amount of cross-functional, multinational training in a variety of different bioinformatics areas. And then there are a whole lot more people. So each of the ELIXIR technical structures, the platforms, the communities, and the focus group, has got a leadership team with 3 people in the leadership team of each platform, 3 people in the leadership team of each community. This quickly adds up to quite a large base of experts. And then each of these organizations has a membership beyond, and that takes us into the hundreds of technical experts that make up the whole of ELIXIR. So the technical team play a crucial role acting as the coordinating and communicating organization for these structures, communicating through the hub, but also supporting the communication between the parts of the organization. So I'll take you into a little bit more detail of how this works. First, we'll look at the ELIXIR platforms. So the ELIXIR platforms are our technology-focused structures. They bring together experts from the nodes, they gather together the services from the nodes, and together we develop ELIXIR's technical vision, coordinate activities in focused technical areas. So we have 5 platforms: compute, data, tools, interoperability, and training. And I'll go through them in strictly alphabetical order. So first, we have the ELIXIR Compute Platform, which was established to build and integrate cloud, compute, storage, and access services for the life science research community, and to make sure that those services form a regularized, consistent infrastructure across Europe, so that people can move from one country to another and take the skills and expertise that they've learned from one country to the next. In 2022 to 2023, the platform is working on 4 areas through commission services. We have authentication and authorization infrastructure engagement. We have the ELIXIR Hybrid Cloud project. We have a task on container orchestration, and we're currently funding 1 commission service, the ELIXIR AAI system, which has become the EOSC Life Science Login system. So the compute platform itself is run by an executive committee, and the executive committee is composed of 3 platform leads: Ludek Maciska from ELIXIR Czech, Juha Törnros from ELIXIR Finland, Harald Wagener from ELIXIR Germany, and the hub coordinator, who's Jonathan Tetz, one of our program managers. The platform is also supported by Gavin Farrell and has its membership drawn from the ELIXIR Nodes, as with all our platforms. The data platform has the goal of driving the use, reuse, and the value of life science data. And it does this by providing long-term sustainable data resources and a connected data ecosystem. Among those resources will be ones that you'll all be familiar with as bioinformaticians, and that some of you may already be aware form part of the ELIXIR network. So those include the ELIXIR core data resources, the European data resources that we've identified as foundational for bioinformatics, of which there are currently 22, and the ELIXIR deposition databases, which are our recommended targets for certain data types for scientists who want to deposit their data long term, and there's currently 12 of those. But in 2022 to 2023, we're working on a number of other activities within the platform. Community and data management network engagement, looking at the data management network from the ELIXIR Converge project. We're looking at data integration, scalable curation tools, and the administration and support for the core data resources, the deposition databases, and community data resources outside that set. And here's the team who form the core of the ELIXIR Data Platform. We have, again, 3 platform leads: Ulrike Wittig from Germany, Patrick Rusch from Switzerland, and Silvio Tozzato from Italy. And our hub coordinator, in this case, is Fabio Liberanti, one of our program managers. And you'll see Gavin's face again there. Gavin also supports the ELIXIR Data Platform. The Interoperability Platform is designed to help people and machines discover, access, integrate, and analyze biological data. And it does this by encouraging the life science community to adopt standardized file formats, standardized metadata, standardized vocabulary and identifiers, and works internationally so that this work isn't parochial, local to our own systems or local just to Europe, and that our data resources and our computational resources can be connected up into the worldwide whole. We have a number of resources that we've identified as being critical to interoperability, and we currently have 14 of those, the ELIXIR recommended interoperability resources. In 2022 to 2023, the platform's working on alignment of the interoperability platform fair service architecture framework, the data platform, communities, and the ELIXIR projects. And we're working on an ELIXIR Interoperability Platform knowledge hub to provide a single entry point and a single environment for people to get access to best practices in research data management. The interoperability platform, again, has 3 leads: Chris Evelo from the Netherlands, Susanna Sunta Sansoni from Oxford in the United Kingdom, and Tony Burdett in EMBL EBI, the ELIXIR node. And again, a hub coordinator. And again, as with the data platform, our hub coordinator in this case is Fabio, one of our program managers. And this platform is additionally supported by Claire Garrard. The ELIXIR Tools Platform is structured to help communities find, register, and benchmark software tools to help researchers access, analyze, and integrate biological data. So we maintain information standards for these tools. We produce, adopt, and promote best practices for their development. We maintain registries, and we connect up all of those registries and standards into an increasingly connected whole for bioinformatics users. In 2022 to 2023, they're working on packaging, containerization, and deployment, performance benchmarking, technical monitoring, a registry of bioinformatics tool information and identifiers, and software best practices. And here's the structure of the tools platform. 3 platform leads again: Hervé Ménager from France, Björn Gruning from ELIXIR Germany, and Salva Capella from ELIXIR Spain. And the hub coordinator in this case is Jonathan Tedds. The platform is also supported by Manthos Petulius. And as with all of our platforms, the membership is drawn from experts across the ELIXIR nodes. Finally, for our platforms, we have the ELIXIR Training Platform. And the training platform aims to strengthen the national training programs, grow bioinformatics training capacity and competence, and to empower researchers to use ELIXIR services and tools. In particular, it's focused on building a set of tools and registries that trainers can make use of to increase their capabilities. In 2022 to 2023, the platform is working on 4 areas: a training toolkit, gap analysis, training materials development and training delivery, training technical infrastructure, and training capacity building. And they're additionally currently working on 1 commissioned service, the training e-support system, which is a registry of training courses and materials, which we're directly supporting at the moment as an ELIXIR service. Of course, the training platform has a leadership: Jessica Lindvall from ELIXIR Sweden, Fotis Simopoulos from ELIXIR Greece, Eva Alotza from ELIXIR Spain, and Katharina Heil as the hub coordinator. And the platform is also supported by Manthos, and again, has membership drawn from the ELIXIR nodes. But you'll recall we also have this network of node training coordinators, and the node training coordinators are active participants in the ELIXIR training platform as well. So I've rather skimmed over the 5 platforms. There's a lot more detail, of course, and there are some excellent case studies and some key services that we're developing. Those won't be the topic of today's webinar. We'll leave those for the webinars focused on each platform in turn. So these have been rather technically focused structures. And then we have the ELIXIR communities, which are rather more end-use focused. So the purpose of the ELIXIR communities is to connect the infrastructure and life science experts and to bring the technologies and services that ELIXIR provides out into their end-user communities. So the ELIXIR communities are formed around domain experts. They provide a mechanism for long-term collaborations on specific topics and a focal point for our interaction with many of the other research infrastructures. They feed back requirements, they drive service developments into the ELIXIR platforms, and they provide a framework to develop specialized community standards on specialist topics. The communities are now quite mature. We've had some of them running for 6 or 7 years, and we've developed a playbook of how we support them and how they interact with each other and beyond. In the ELIXIR Communities Handbook, you can find out what a community is, who can join, what the benefits are, and how the communities are structured. We have now more than 15 communities. I don't, you may be pleased to know, have more than 15 slides on this occasion, but each community is structured in the same way. So we have 3 experts from among the ELIXIR nodes who act as the community leads and shape the strategy of the platform. And we have 1 communities coordinator across all the communities who gives them guidance and helps keep them aligned with the overall ELIXIR Communities program. That's Katharina Heil, one of our program managers again. And she's supported in that activity by Claire Garrard, who's a face you'll see from the Interoperability Platform earlier. But each community also has a hub liaison contact. That might be Katharina in some cases, it might be Claire, but in other cases, it may be other hub staff, depending on their speciality and the nature of the community. Of course, the communities then have membership drawn from across the ELIXIR nodes and occasionally by invitation from beyond. So we don't just interact with the platforms and the communities, those are our ELIXIR internal structures. We also interact with the other teams in the ELIXIR hub, and we interact beyond ELIXIR as well. So I'll take you through some of those activities as well. So the first thing is that the platforms and communities that I've talked about all represent structures which are funded under the ELIXIR program. So the subscription funds of the member nodes form the ELIXIR program and fund those commission service and implementation study projects. That is not our only source of income. We're one of the European research infrastructures, and we're expected to and encouraged to participate in Europe-wide projects as well. ELIXIR participates in many of these, and the technical team have a role. So we're not project managers. We don't project manage any of these projects, but we provide expertise. We work with the other hub members in identifying and prioritizing opportunities for future funding. We participate in the writing of proposals. We will take on technical leadership positions within projects, pillar leadership, for example. We'll take on work package leadership where that's appropriate, where our specialist expertise is helpful. And we'll participate in a variety of different ways technically across the project as well. So we have examples here from biodiversity, the Bicycle project, and Biodiversity Genomics Europe. We have examples here from the European Open Science Cloud, EOSC Life, EOSC Future. We have research infrastructure funding, ELIXIR Converge. We have toxicology project, an IMI project, eTransafe. And we have a training research infrastructure project, RITrain Plus. All represented here are all things that we're actively working on and contributing to at the moment. Another ELIXIR structure that we participate in are the ELIXIR focus groups. So the ELIXIR focus groups are mechanisms for looking at novel areas outside the program or connecting with activities beyond ELIXIR. You'll see the list there on the right of ELIXIR's current focus group, ranging from specialist skills like biocuration, specialist data types, cancer data, health data, and interactions with external organizations like the European Open Science Cloud and the Research Data Alliance. So the technical team contribute to these in a number of different ways. We're involved in the evaluation and the proposal of new focus group areas. We connect the focus groups to the platforms and the communities. We participate in focus groups ourselves as experts. We provide the technical and advisory support for those focus groups. And then we have a role in evaluating and promoting the outputs of the focus groups, whatever those should be. Within the hub, work very closely with ELIXIR's operations team and external relations teams. One of the key areas where we do this is on the ELIXIR events. We provide the technical program development for ELIXIR's key events, in particular our major annual events, the ELIXIR All Hands. We run the program committee for the ELIXIR All Hands, and the Biohackathon Europe. We organize the Biohackathon Europe every year, and look after the venue and the technical program there. We also interact with ELIXIR's overall governance structures as well. So ELIXIR's governance is based around the ELIXIR board, the final decision-making authority, the scientific advisory board, and the industry advisory committee, who advise the ELIXIR board, and the head of nodes committee, representing each of the member nodes at a technical level. Each of these organizations requires technical updates. Each of them depend on data and oversight of the ELIXIR services and platforms. And each of them needs input on new technical directions. And the technical team contributes to all of these through the annual series of meetings of these organizations. Within Europe, we don't just work within Europe-wide projects. As I mentioned before, ELIXIR's impact goes beyond Europe and is international. And the technical team acts as the primary or the expert contact point for many international organizations. We are very closely engaged with many of the other ESFRI research infrastructures. We work with European agencies such as the European Open Science Cloud, and we also play a key role in our relationship with Global Alliance for Genomics and Health, the standards body for genomics software and data. We're very closely involved with the Research Data Alliance, the international body for data quality and data reusability. ELIXIR had a foundational role in the Global Biodata Coalition, and the ELIXIR Core Data Resources and the Global Biodata Coalition resources have a very close overlap with each other, and the technical team are responsible for the regular contact between the GBC and ELIXIR. The training coordinators and the training platform are very closely engaged with the Goblet Bioinformatics Initiative internationally, and we have a focus group and many participants in the data platform who are very closely involved with the International Society for Biocuration. And then finally, looking ahead, as well as at the present, of course, ELIXIR has a strategy, and through their backgrounds, through our knowledge of the platforms and communities, and through our knowledge of the ELIXIR services and membership, the technical team members play a crucial role in developing the ELIXIR scientific programs. So, for example, at the moment, we're in the process of developing our next 5-year program, which will run from 2024 to 2028. And that's occupying much of our time over the next 6 months as we finalize that and present it to the various ELIXIR structures and for final approval by the board. So this brings me to the end of the talk. I've taken you through the ELIXIR team. I've taken you through some of the technical structures. And I hope I've shown how we interact internally and externally. I haven't dived into a lot of detail on each of those components because we're hoping to do that over the coming months in our following series of webinars. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for your attention, and I'm ready to take questions.
Thank you, Peter. Your timing was spot on. We have had a couple of questions. There's a link in the chat that I'm sure people have seen that takes to the Slido. Where do you see ELIXIR at the conclusion of the 24 to 28 program?
That's such a mean question. because that is the very question that writing the 2024 to 2028 program sets out to address. I would say that ELIXIR has demonstrated its benefit quite strongly through putting together services and putting together capabilities. I think we're now at a stage where increasingly our nodes are working together. Increasingly, our countries are seeing the economies of scale of being part of a European infrastructure. And I would say that by 2028, we will see far more multinational services. We'll see far more multi-node activities, and we'll see most things within ELIXIR being done at an international scale and fewer being done at a national scale. Not because the national scale isn't important and won't be contributing, but because all of it, I think, will be leveraged into this pan-European infrastructure and further into international frameworks. We've seen that to some extent already with the development of the Global Biodata Coalition out of the groundwork that ELIXIR had laid. I think we'll see that through some of the other interactions we have as well. So I think all of us, through participating in ELIXIR, will find ourselves being by default, international scientists and international contributors.
The second question is, what is the connection of platforms and communities with the focus groups?
So when we found a focus group, we ask a question. The question is, could this be being done entirely within a platform? In which case, we reject the application and we take the problem back to the platform and say this should be a working group within the platform. Likewise, if it completely overlaps with one community, then we say, oh, this is an activity that is already covered by one of our ELIXIR communities, or should be. You should go and talk to the ELIXIR community. So the only way to become a focus group is either to bring together multiple activities across multiple platforms and communities, or to address a space which isn't currently being addressed by a platform or a community. And then the job of that focus group is to see whether that's a significant gap or a gap that needs to be addressed. And sometimes it's a gap that needs to be significantly addressed. There is a community missing from ELIXIR, is one of the possible outcomes of a focus group. More likely, it suggests that there should be some cross-platform or cross-platform and community activity. And the focus group can propose that, and the focus groups are often fundamental in us forging new implementation studies, particularly ones which are cross-domain and cross-platform. But we actively encourage them, of course, to talk with the platforms, talk with the communities, but they're a different structure. They serve a different purpose.
Okay, thank you. And the final question that we have for the moment is, can you expand on the role of the EXCO versus the technical support in the platforms?
Yes, I certainly can. So the role of the EXCO, so that is the platform lead, is to be a subject matter expert within that platform area to help to shape the strategy of that platform, and to bring knowledge, expertise, and management skills to setting up and running the program activities within that platform. The platform lead is therefore not necessarily an expert in all the other platforms, and is almost certainly at the start not an expert in the organizational structures of ELIXIR, the policies and procedures. So we also provide a platform coordinator whose job is to understand the wider context of ELIXIR, to have a view across all 5 platforms and the communities, and to understand the processes and procedures. But we absolutely expect the platform leads, the platform executive committee members, to be shaping ELIXIR's strategy within the technology area of the platform, and and we intend to make significantly more use of them in the new program in reviewing, advising, and guiding the overall ELIXIR strategy as well.
Okay, thank you. We do have one final question that has just been submitted a moment ago, but before we go through that, if there are others, please submit them now. Now's an opportunity. Raise your hand if you'd like to. And just to say that this is the first webinar in a series. We will have another one on the communities, ELIXIR communities, on the 16th of February, and then every month thereafterwards until I believe it's July, we will finish with one of the platform talks. So the final question that we have at the moment is, do you see any new nodes joining ELIXIR?
Yes, I do. Let me see. So it's not the role of the technical team. It's the role of ELIXIR's external relations team to look at the applications from external nodes. We're quite an open organization, and although there are questions about our geographical boundaries, within Europe, there are plenty of member states who are not yet members and who would be welcome as members. The decision on becoming a member is therefore largely an internal matter for most of the potential member states. They need to get the commitment of their own government to join. But we have a number of nodes. All of the western fringe of Europe is already a member, but towards the eastern fringes of ELIXIR and in Central Europe, we have a number of countries who are in negotiation internally and externally. And at a recent board meeting, we agreed to accept the application of Croatia to become an ELIXIR node. Croatia still have to ratify that through their internal governmental processes. But if they're successful in that, then they would become a new ELIXIR node this year.
That's good to hear. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Thank you, Peter, for your presentation. And we look forward to seeing you on future talks.